My name is Robert J. Ott. I originally graduated the Business Enterprise program in the state of New Jersey and then became recertified in the state of Washington and moved my life out here and became a blind entrepreneur in this program.
The Business Enterprise Program, or BEP, is a federally authorized program implemented by each state and territory in the United States. They train and license people who are blind or visually impaired to establish and operate food service businesses in public and private facilities.
That business did the food services for the Western Regional Center of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. There was about 1,000 people in the complex. I took over the daycare center. I fed 52 kids a day, overseen 48 vending machines. We did all the catering, breakfast, lunch, fancy dinners. We used to get liquor permits from time to time for international meetings that we'd have there. I spent 10 years of my life there.
During a Washington state meeting of BEP vendors, Robert learned of an opportunity to gain a military contract. Such contracts were never awarded to a blind vendor in the state, and only 35 vendors in the country have ever received such lucrative opportunities. Feeling as though he reached a peak in his business at that time, Robert decided he would pursue the contract. After 2.5 years of legal battles with the Department of Defense, Robert was awarded the contract.
I formed a corporation. It was titled Certain Victory Food Services Incorporated. I had 833 employees. September 1st, 2004, I walked into my office on what is now called Joint Base Lewis McChord. We were providing the labor, proper service. We were taking care of these young men and women for fighting for freedom and independence.
Robert's success story could be defined by one word: Pilsung. The definition is in his story, beginning with his introduction to the martial arts. Growing up in southern New Jersey, Robert was raised by a single mom. Like most boys who first watched Bruce Lee on the big screen, Robert immediately began imitating the acrobatic moves.
I wasn't sure what I was doing. My brain wasn't even doing the thinking. My body was just simply kicking and moving punches and everything else.
Robert's mom couldn't afford to send her son to lessons. When Robert turned 12, an affordable and convenient opportunity was presented, and he began studying Taekwondo.
I ended up winning the New Jersey State Championships 2 years in a row. From there, the Junior Olympics down in Florida, the Fight for Cancer Championships, Northeast Pocono Championships, Garden State Championships. I also lost some battles too. What it was really doing on the inside was building my self-esteem and confidence. I look somebody eye to eye and shake their hand with warmth, goodness, and my own self-security, confidence at the same time.
Robert continued studying different forms of martial arts with multiple instructors in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, each instructor providing something new. One in particular stood out to Robert.
I remember opening up Taekwondo Times magazine. In the back was the directory of instructors and little pictures of their faces. And there was one in Pennsylvania, and I said, this is the guy I need to go to. And I remember my girlfriend said, what are you talking about? I said, he's looking at me. And she laughed. I said, no, he is. There I met Grandmaster Go Tae-Chuk. I became one of his students. A year following that, I became the office manager and chief instructor. I began to operate, run. I dealt with sales, instructing, maintenance, advertising, marketing. And the biggest thing that happened during that time is here I am standing in front of a group of 60 children with all the parents up on the second floor in the loft looking down, and I'm teaching, or I'm standing in front of all these adults that are much older than me. And here I am, their instructor, and they're looking to me for guidance. Here I am in the office when people would come in with challenges they'd have in life, and we'd be talking. And I began to realize more than anything else that I do this from the heart, and I'm good at what I do. It's a passion I had. I was 18 years old.
By 1990, Robert was running his own school teaching Hapkido,
which is a Korean martial art, translates to art of coordinated power. It was growing. So much was going on in my life, a lot of responsibility. My relationship was being challenged. I had a great business, but I was still trying to figure out how am I going to get everything to tie in together and make ends meet. I had just given my mother away at her wedding. She married a beautiful man, and my mother gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. This is when I was 21 years old.
On October 6th, 1990, Robert's life would change forever.
It's funny because all that night, I kept saying to myself over and over again, you're not going to go out, you're not going to go to this bar. I couldn't shut my mind down. I had to do something, and I guess going there was that answer at the age of 21. So I went in, was chit-chatting and this and that. It was no more than 10 minutes later, a large group of people came in who were heavily intoxicated, and I was talking to a female. We were having a nice conversation, and next thing you know, another individual came between us and was getting involved. He wanted to put his hands on her. She's with me. I think you've had a little bit too much to drink. She went towards the back end of the bar, and I was slowly putting on my jacket to go back to the end of the bar and to walk away from the situation. I certainly could defend myself and take care of myself, but I also learned in life that when you're dealing with people in certain situations, they can be 1 inch tall, and you may be in the best shape of your life, but if they don't care about life, you're dealing with a whole nother ballgame. As I was walking away, he pushed me from behind. I turned around to defend myself, and next thing you know, the manager of the bar was pushing me out the door. The bouncer was pushing the other guy out the door, and it was all just happening. I remember very little, but the key parts I do remember is my right leg going between his legs and sweeping his feet off the ground, dropping my knee into his groin, and I was on top of him. And then the next thing I remember, I was tucking my shirt in with my friend in front of me. The door cracked back open that went out to the parking lot, and the man, while I was looking the other direction, put a gun to my head and pulled the trigger. The bullet entered the left part of my skull, went through the left temporal lobe of my brain, cut the nerves to my left eye, destroyed my taste and smell, and blew up my right eye. They got me over to Cooper Trauma Center, which is located in Camden, New Jersey. It was a total of 17 hours that I laid there, and there was nothing they could do.
Robert wasn't expected to survive. His mother was told if he did, it was almost certain he would have severe brain damage.
A nurse by the name of Fran Orth, who worked in the trauma center, came in on the second shift. She spent time reading my information, looking at me, reading information, looking at me. She began to question, why wasn't my head lifted up? Why was not this done? Why was that not done? And the neurosurgeon said, there's nothing we can do. He's going to be dying. She said, but did you call Dr. Luis Cervante?
Dr. Cervante received that call and answered. He went on to perform surgery that gave Robert another chance at life. Recovery would take some time. He had to deal with meningitis that required another stay in the hospital. At the time of the shooting, Robert was a fit 185 pounds. As a result of the fall after being shot, Robert's jaw was broken and wired shut. He dropped to about 125 pounds.
I couldn't believe this was happening to me. Everything was racing through my mind. I've got pictures of me doing dive rolls over large groups of people and doing splits in the air, and I used to go running a lot on the beach and handsprings and just all kinds of beautiful, great stuff. I was so weak I couldn't even do a push-up, and now I'm blind and I can't get around. My independence, my confidence, my self-esteem, my balance.
The recovery wasn't just physical. As the owner and operator of a martial arts school, Robert was more than just an instructor to his students.
My school was still operating. My students were keeping it going for me. But I was embarrassed to go back. I didn't want the children and people to see me now. I was ashamed of myself. I could have taught you 10 different ways when someone puts a gun to you. Techniques and things and ways of taking them down and removing the gun from their hands, etc. How your body moves and how your eyes are and how you react to it. I never thought it would really happen.
It was martial arts that would once again help Robert find his way.
Richard Kenman was my very first martial arts instructor. I really looked up to him, respected him so much. He was like a father to me. And he said, Bobby, you got to put your uniform on. You got to go back to your school.
Robert would go on to regain his self-confidence and seek out new opportunities. When it was time, he learned of the BEP program.
I remember this guy came by the house to bring me a watch, a talking watch from the New Jersey Commission for the Blind. We started talking about the Business Enterprise Program. I decided to investigate it more. It wasn't what I wanted to do, my dream, but I didn't look at it as my dream. I looked at it as my tool.
This was just one tool of many. Robert already had tools he began accumulating when introduced to the martial arts. I'm talking about more than the flying kicks or wood-shattering punches.
Working with people with self-control, confidence, peace of mind, communicating properly, sharing your energy and spirit,
That spirit eventually guided Robert to Washington State. Fortunately, he didn't leave his sense of humor behind.
What made you go from Jersey all the way to Seattle?
Well, that's a lot of times what happens when you're blind and get behind the wheel.
Nice.
In addition to becoming a successful entrepreneur, he began once again teaching martial arts and more.
I started getting involved with working with other individuals who are blind. I put together a women's self-defense seminar. I spent time with the wounded warriors. I got involved with the children at the elementary school. I wrote a book.
The name of that book? Certain Victory, which is also the name of Robert's company. Once again, it goes back to the martial arts. It goes back to Pilsung.
That same magazine that I told you I was reading when I saw the picture of Grandmaster Go. The article I read in that magazine was called Pilsung. It was about a man, and he just earned his first degree black belt.
Soon after, while piloting his own plane, he crashed.
And he ended up hitting the high tension line, wires, and 90% of his body was burnt. And he survived. The whole story was about overcoming this, getting through this, fighting the fight, finding what he called certain victory. In Korean, Pilsung means certain victory through strength, courage, and indomitable spirit.
One word, 2 syllables, Pilsung, help one man strive to meet his potential. Robert's book, Certain Victory, is available on bookshare.org. It's also available on Amazon.com and his website, certainvictory.com. This is Thomas Reid.
There was one in Pennsylvania, and I said, this is the guy I need to go to.
For Read My Mind Radio at readmymind.com. That's REID, mymind.com.